We have the great honor to have Congressman Rick Crawford here, U.S. Congressman. Congressman, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, do you see that there's a deep division between Democrats and Republicans?
It's very partisan, and I maybe people have heard me say this before, as I've said it for years. Within the Republican Party, there are probably 4, maybe 5 subsets. And so it's not easy as Republicans to unite, because I think that the one of the characteristics that most Republicans have is sort of this individualistic type of make it on your own kind of thing, and whereas the Democrats have historically been really good at circling the wagons, metaphorically speaking, obviously, but we're seeing now the Democrats are starting to experience that in their own ranks, and that they've got 2 or 3 subsets that they're having difficulty getting their arms around. And so that unity that they've been known for is not as pronounced as it has been in years past. Whereas the Republican conference, despite all of our individualistic tendencies, we have in this Congress been united on, particularly when it counted the most. We've been far more united than any time that I've seen since I've been in Congress. Why does that matter? Well, I'm not trying to espouse partisanship at all, but I'm saying that the problems that the Republican Party have had are not unique to the Republican Party. And so, what we've seen is now, as Nancy Pelosi has identified these problems in her conference, she is gravitating toward the more progressive side of the spectrum. She's getting out in front of groups like the Squad because she wants to make sure that she is perceived as the leader, and she's not being pushed that way, but she's actually pulling them that way, that she's in charge. I think that's a mistake. I think people would rather have folks looking for pragmatic solutions rather than engaging in more tribalism, for lack of a better term. But the reality is, this is sort of the political state of play, that rather than seeing more of a bipartisan approach, finding ways we can agree on things that are good for all Americans, what we're seeing now is more of a push, in my opinion, toward that tribalistic mindset.
Well, what can we as Arkansans do? Do we play a part in this? Could we help, our elected officials in any way?
Sure we do. And I think that's important, that it's easy to get. I mean, look, even like I said, even in the Republican Party, we have a lot of disagreement among Republicans. But I think what we have to do is understand that Arkansas is, it's important to us because we're Arkansans, but Arkansas is not the center of the universe. We have to think broadly about America, and our role and our part and our position in America is important, and our voice needs to be heard, and we don't need to be, run roughshod over. And quite frankly, that's a challenge because we're a small state. Because we're a small state, we're decidedly rural. The money goes where the people are. And so a lot of times small states like Arkansas and others sort of fall through the cracks. But in the big picture, I think you have to understand that we really need to do what's best for the American people. And that is to say, let's not get too bogged down in scorecards, and let's not make 99% a failing grade. There are people that are doing some good things. We're really under a microscope in Washington. It's probably I'm amazed at everything that I have to report. And I every year have to do it every year. And so it's very difficult for me or any other member of Congress to be anything but transparent. And so I think that, you have all the access you need in terms of my voting record, financial transactions, all that kind of stuff, to make an assessment about whether I'm doing a good job. And we don't need to necessarily, get too into the weeds about, certain things that tend to divide Republicans.
Sure.
I think but the good news is I'm seeing more unity among Republicans than I have in quite a while. And that's Probably because in Congress anyway, we're in the minority, and in the minority, you almost always have to lock arms. And then once we get in the majority, maybe that those fissures start to appear a little more.